All right, now we're getting into chapter 1 of How We Learn. This will be the first part of the first chapter, which is entitled The Story Maker. And it's aptly titled because our brain is a story maker. It creates meaning from the disparate experiences and stimuli that we have every day. So we have 100 billion neurons in each of our brains, and then we dedicate that to the miraculous task of making meaning. And each of us experience the world a little bit differently, even though the stimuli. So two of us may be, sitting next to each other, experiencing, say, an opera, and each, you might find it amazing, and I might say, this isn't very good at all. So we each take the information that's in our environment, and then we interpret it according to our own sort of personal filters. But the hardware that we all use is basically the same. We have neurons. The neurons are connected by synapses. This is something we studied, of course, in books such as The Talent Code, and it's sort of cognitive science 101. And he talks about how the brain is modular. So there are sort of different areas of the brain that that undertake different tasks. Here he's got a little diagram of the brain, and of course he talks about the entorhinal area of the brain, which is where we sort of first take in experience, and then in the hippocampus we interpret that experience and sort of begin to create memories, and then those memories are stored up here in the neocortex. And he uses sort of this extended metaphor of a film, and we have several different people working to create this experience, which is the unified film that we experience, the story that we see. But it takes a cinematographer and a sound engineer and a graphics person and a composer to create this this sort of narrative that we kind of understand. And then our brains each sort of create a story, make a story out of that. And one of the interesting things is that we experience the world, and then from those experiences we create memories, which are the way that we store information. And when we repeat experiences, of course, the synapses, the connections between our neurons actually strengthen and myelinate, and then it's a piece of knowledge or a memory that we have that's stronger, and that's how we build skill in whatever it is that we do. So, for example, I speak Spanish all the time with my friends and family, and it's my job. It's what I do at school, so I get pretty good at it. If you studied Spanish and spoke it at one time, maybe you lived in Argentina for a year, but then haven't used it for the last 20 years, it's the connection is weakened, whereas if you used it every day, it would be strengthened. And this is true for all of us in everything. I don't hardly play baseball anymore, but if I had played baseball throughout my life, I would probably be a little bit better at it. So we have the memories that we create are either episodic, in other words, like an episode, an autobiographical, something that happened to us, or they're semantic. So, for example, something episodic is my memory of my first day in high school. So everybody who's over 14 remembers maybe the color of the walls, maybe somebody we met that day, maybe the smell of that experience, that memory, maybe something that happened to you. That's an episodic autobiographical memory. Whereas we also have semantic memories, which are facts that are, for example, the capital of Ohio is Columbus. And in order for us to remember that, we need to connect that piece of information to some information that we previously have. So, for example, Christopher Columbus was an explorer. Or where's the University of Ohio is in Columbus, or we have some kind of piece of information that we can connect to that in order to learn that piece of information. And so when we look back on things in retrospect, our memories can change and the brain changes over time. But the neurons that we activate when we first experience something often are the very same neurons that are activated when we remember an experience, an event, or a piece of information. All right, more to come.